episode of Under the SteamRoom, an exciting series where we meet with unique creatives creating waves in the city. My name is Gigi Young, and today I'm joined by designer Henry Stanford. Hello Henry, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gigi.
Please could you introduce yourself and a little bit about why we've met at the basement of the SteamRoom today?
No, of course. So me, myself and Tony, we're looking very much at our paths crossed when Ulan came to see at a tour of the Saraband studios where I was working, and he saw a connection in terms of what I was trying to do with looking at the lifestyle of garments. And I think I saw the opportunity there for us to work together and work on a new system for garment care.
I went to the Saraband Alexander McQueen Foundation for exhibition and conference. They had some technical problem there, so the organisers offered us a private tour of designer studios. She showed us Henry Stanford's studio. It was closed at the time. They told us he created a time machine that creates clothing in reverse. I thought that's great for the SteamRoom basement project. I had to go and find him on Instagram.
How did you get your start in fashion design?
I think the interest came from just having spare cash from doing, when I was from the age of kind of 14, I had weekend jobs whilst at school, so I always had a spare bit of cash, so I kind of would prefer to use a better word, but there's a very organic process, just having money, just going into town, exploring clothing, exploring identity, buying magazines, kind of, different art, photography magazines and fashion magazines are on offer, and kind of exploring it that way. And that kind of interest was growing and growing, and then when I was about 16, there was a series on BBC called The British Design Genius. There was 3 episodes, one on British tailoring, one on British subcultures, the second half of the 20th century, and then the third one on British avant-garde designers. So that when I saw that, it was a real kind of electric, concise summary of what clothes represent, how they can affect the communication of the individual and the collective, how they bring people together, how they create movements. And I think, that interest just really built and then took me into a foundation and then on into my kind of degree education.
Was there any defining moment into how you got into sustainability and garment care?
As soon as I came into my foundation, I kind of was already rejecting this idea of image and aesthetic leading the design of clothing, because, as I said to you before, that kind of interest that I had was how it directed movements of people and individuals to behave in a certain way. I started off by looking at how the garment could be more than just object that remains and that goes out into the world. I was looking at how it goes from installation to exploring different life cycles of the garment. So the kind of sustainability I saw was a sort of a need for an evolution in thinking around garments rather than just the need to be sustainable. I think it would happen, sustainability came further on. The facts show that a huge amount of the garment's energy use is during its life, when it's been made, when it's with the user. Overwashing is a massive problem, using the wrong chemicals, using harsh chemicals. All of these issues can be avoided by a new system, a new way of working. I think the interesting ways that our paths cross, Tony, is that I'm trying to create garments with a design degradation, so that there's that conversation that the user has with their garment in use is ongoing, so it's changing and it's morphing around their body with use, and you have a consistent conversation with the user about the garment in its lifetime. And I think that's what our conversations over this project have been really interesting in terms of talking about different people's expectations of how a garment should stay in the same state. How you said the number one complaint you have is that people are confused when they get their garment back, why it's not looking like it was when it came off the peg or when they brought it from the shelf.
Yeah, no, I think I've been doing it for like 15 years, and I've noticed customers not really understanding their clothes, or their bodies, and why it comes out that way after use, or they wear it once and they give it back to me to clean when it doesn't actually need to be cleaned, or I just found that people just don't really know like like clothes do sort of break down. You know, why have they got holes under the trousers? Is it because the dry cleaner has, you know, put it from a stronger wash, but they don't sort of question themselves and why it actually breaks down, you know, if they've been walking too hard with them and stuff. So I think clothing degradation is important. So it brings awareness that they know, like if they over sweat or whatever, and teach people that, you know, like if it's ready to clean or not to clean.
What I'm trying to do is create garments that have a life cycle, so they degrade over a period of time. We're altering the way people consume. We're not stopping people from consuming because we've had over 100 years of marketing.
Exactly, so let's make sure that the things that they do buy then are useful and sustainable or upcycled materials.
We don't kind of avoid people's need for something new. We kind of just shift it, look at innovative ways in which we can fulfill that.
Speaking of innovative ways to fulfill this new idea that you're pioneering with Tony, is it safe to assume then that with technology and as machinery improves and upgrades and educates us as consumers, as individuals, as those in the creative industry, that your practices and ideology of technology and fashion working together also develops?
The way I'm using technology is to aid. I believe that it's important to define the analog process first without it being automated. When we talk about machinery, it's kind of machinery to create performance and to create experience. When we've been working towards Tony, we're not looking at machinery that does the work for Tony, that replaces Tony at all. In any way, stripping back the current machinery he has to aid him do the best possible work he can do that. And by that means that the conversation that I had with Tony is that he really enjoys the physical process, and he can do a much more efficient job if he can get physical with the garment, because he can be specific on where he's putting certain cleaning products, and he can be energy efficient in terms of not, you know, intensively washing the whole garment. I feel that a designer's role should change in a way that now we see the designer just creates the garment and then see you later, it's goodbye to the garment, whereas I think by us combining, I think is a reflection. I hope is a reflection of how the industry will move forward in terms of the designer actually having much more of being part of that conversation with the products, with the object that they put into the world.